Right now, before you move on or get distracted, there's something you need to hear, because this moment is more important than it seems at first glance. Think about everything you've been waiting for lately. Every situation where you felt delayed, overlooked, or even quietly pushed aside. You tried to understand it. You tried to stay patient. But deep down there was always that question: why is nothing happening the way it should? And your heart needs this right now, because what you've been interpreting as rejection has been shaping the way you see everything around you. But what if that interpretation is wrong? What if the reason things didn't move forward wasn't because you weren't chosen, but because something you couldn't see was being held back for your own good? There are moments in life where silence feels like absence, where delay feels like denial, but those moments often carry a meaning that only becomes clear later. And listen carefully, just because something didn't happen when you expected it to, doesn't mean it wasn't meant for you. It may simply mean that the timing wasn't safe, the situation wasn't stable, or the outcome wasn't ready to unfold yet. And right now, something is shifting in your awareness. You are being pulled into a moment where everything you questioned begins to take on a different meaning. Because what felt like something being taken away from you may have actually been something protecting you all along. What you couldn't see during that delay is exactly why it felt so frustrating. Because from your perspective, it looked like nothing was happening at all. You were waiting for movement, waiting for confirmation, waiting for some kind of sign that things were progressing, but instead, everything stayed still. And your heart needs this right now, because that stillness was not emptiness. It was protection, working in ways you didn't have access to. There were details unfolding beyond your awareness, outcomes being shaped that you couldn't predict, and situations being prevented that could have created consequences you weren't ready to face. And listen carefully. Just because something didn't move forward doesn't mean it was supposed to move forward at that time. There are moments when what you want and what is right for you are not aligned yet, and in those moments, delay becomes necessary. Because if certain doors had opened when you wanted them to, they may have led you into situations that looked right on the surface, but carried hidden complications underneath. And your heart needs this right now, because protection doesn't always feel like protection in the moment. Sometimes it feels like loss, like confusion, like being left behind while everything else moves forward. But in reality, it is the process of keeping you away from something that would not have worked the way you imagined. Think about this. How many times have you looked back on something later and realized it was better that it didn't happen the way you wanted? That clarity didn't come immediately. It came with time, with distance, with understanding. And that's exactly what is happening here. The delay you experienced was not random. It was intentional. It was creating space for things to shift, for circumstances to change, for outcomes to be adjusted in your favor without you even realizing it. There were factors you couldn't see, people you couldn't predict, and consequences you couldn't fully understand at the time. And if everything had moved forward too quickly, you might have stepped into something that looked right, but wasn't truly aligned with your long-term path. And your heart needs this right now, because what you were being protected from may never be fully visible to you, but its impact is already shaping your life in a better direction. The silence, the waiting, the uncertainty, all of it served a purpose. It slowed things down long enough for the right alignment to take place. It prevented decisions that could have led to regret. It redirected your path in a way that will only make sense as things begin to unfold from here. And that's why this moment matters. Because now you are starting to move out of that hidden phase and into a place where the results of that protection begin to show themselves. You kept asking yourself why it had to take this long, why the answer didn't come when you needed it most, why everything seemed to slow down at the exact moment you were ready to move forward. And your heart needs this right now, because what felt like delay was not just about time passing. It was about preparation taking place on a level you couldn't recognize at the moment. There are certain things in life that cannot arrive until everything around them is aligned properly, and that alignment often takes longer than we expect. Not because something is wrong, but because something is being built carefully. And listen carefully. If something important enters your life before it is fully prepared, it doesn't stay. It breaks, it collapses, or it creates confusion instead of clarity. That's why timing matters more than urgency. You may have been ready emotionally, you may have felt certain mentally, but there were still elements outside your control that needed to come into place. Situations had to shift, people had to change, circumstances had to evolve, and even you had to grow in ways that were not obvious at the time. And your heart needs this right now, because growth doesn't always feel like progress. Sometimes it feels like being stuck, like nothing is moving, like everything is paused. But in reality, it is shaping you into someone who can handle what's coming next. Think about the version of you from before the delay and compare it to who you are now. There is more awareness, more patience, more understanding than there was before. And that didn't happen instantly, it happened because of the waiting. And listen to this. If everything had worked out earlier, you might not have been able to see things clearly. You might have accepted less than what truly aligns with you. You might have moved forward without recognizing the full picture. But now you see differently. You think differently. You respond differently. And that shift is exactly why the delay was necessary. Because it wasn't just about preparing what is coming toward you, it was about preparing you to receive it in the right way. And your heart needs this right now, because the timing you questioned so many times is now becoming your advantage. Everything that felt slow is now creating stability. Everything that felt uncertain is now creating clarity. And everything that felt like it was holding you back is now revealing itself as something that was actually positioning you. This wasn't wasted time. This was intentional development. This was the part of the journey where everything had to come together in the right way, so that when the moment finally arrives, it doesn't just happen, it lasts. Now this is the moment where everything begins to shift from confusion into clarity, and even if it hasn't fully revealed itself yet, you can feel that something is changing. The same situations that once felt uncertain are starting to make more sense. The same delays that frustrated you are beginning to show a different meaning. And the same questions that once had no answers are slowly finding their direction. And your heart needs this right now, because this is what happens when alignment finally begins to take place. When everything that was being prepared behind the scenes starts to come together, it doesn't happen in pieces. It happens in a way where things begin to connect all at once. And listen carefully, this is not coincidence. This is the result of everything being arranged in the right order at the right time for the right outcome. You may start to notice that situations unfold more smoothly, that decisions feel clearer, that the resistance you once felt is no longer there in the same way. And that's because what was once out of alignment is now beginning to settle into place. The delay that once felt like an obstacle is now revealing itself as a necessary step that ensured everything would come together correctly. And your heart needs this right now, because clarity doesn't arrive randomly. It arrives when everything is ready to be understood. There are moments when you are not meant to see the full picture, not because it is being hidden from you, but because seeing it too early would have created confusion instead of understanding. But now you are stepping into a point where things are no longer hidden in the same way. Patterns become visible, reasons become clear, and situations that once felt disconnected begin to form a complete picture. And listen to this, when that clarity comes, it changes the way you see everything that happened before. What once felt like rejection begins to feel like redirection. What once felt like loss begins to feel like protection. And what once felt like delay begins to feel like perfect timing. And your heart needs this right now, because this is the turning point. The moment where everything starts to make sense, not just logically, but emotionally as well. You begin to feel peace where there was once frustration. You begin to feel understanding where there was once confusion. And that shift within you is just as important as the changes happening around you. Because when your perspective changes, everything else begins to change with it. And this is where you realize that nothing you went through was meaningless. Every delay, every pause, every unanswered moment was leading to this point where everything finally aligns in a way that you can fully understand and accept. Now everything comes down to how you move forward from this point. Because understanding the delay is one thing, but trusting what is unfolding next is something entirely different. And your heart needs this right now, because this is where many people fall back into doubt, even after everything starts to make sense. They begin to question again, to overthink again, to wonder if what they are seeing is real, or if it will disappear the same way things did before. But listen carefully, this moment is not the same as before. You are not the same as before. And what is coming together now has been shaped by everything that had to be delayed in order to work properly. This is not something fragile or uncertain in the same way it once felt. This is something that has been aligned with intention, something that has been allowed to develop in the right timing so that it can last instead of falling apart. And your heart needs this right now, because your role is no longer to question the delay, but to trust the direction. You don't need to go back and analyze every moment that confused you. You don't need to hold on to the frustration that once made everything feel unclear, because that phase is over. You are now stepping into the result of that process, the outcome of everything being positioned correctly. And listen to this. Trust does not mean ignoring your awareness. It means allowing your awareness to guide you without fear. You have learned enough through this journey to recognize what feels right and what doesn't. You have gained enough clarity to understand what aligns with your path and what doesn't belong anymore. And that understanding is what will keep you steady as things continue to unfold. And your heart needs this right now, because this is not the time to go back into uncertainty. This is the time to move forward with confidence, even if everything is not fully revealed yet. Because what is unfolding now is not random. It is the result of everything being carefully arranged in your favor. And as you continue forward, you will see more proof of that alignment. Things will continue to make sense. Opportunities will feel more natural. Decisions will feel clearer, and that sense of peace that is beginning to form within you will continue to grow stronger. So don't lose that now. Don't step back into doubt when you've come this far, because what once felt like rejection was guiding you, protecting you, and preparing you for exactly this moment. And now that you're here, your only role is to trust it.